Real quick, let's go over timecode on the Blackmagic Pyxis. So the Pyxis and the Pocket Cinema cameras don't have a timecode setup page, and this is because it's always in free run mode while still capturing record run. You can toggle between these two views by tapping the clock at the top of your main display page. When the camera receives a valid SMPTE input, its source indicator will switch from internal timecode to external. Frame rate can be viewed on the second page of the record tab in your menu or in the top left of your home screen. While you're there, double check the camera isn't off speed as indicated by the OS icon. And to return the camera to normal operation, just push the HFR button below the screen. Or you can switch the toggle on the second page of your record tab in your menu. If your display is hidden, just swipe up or down. The Pyxis has two native inputs for capturing timecode, and those are going to be your BNC port beneath the 12G SDI and the left channel of the TRS microphone input, and this will behave the same way as the Pocket Cinema lineup. If your BNC isn't working, check the camera is on software version 9.2 or higher. That seemed to clear things up for us. If you're going to use the TRS port, make sure your source isn't set to 3.5mm left, otherwise playback is going to be a bit painful. And of course, you always have the option to record SMPTE signal directly into an audio track, but this requires you to have some sort of interpreter in your post workflow. Alright, so let's talk about offset and drift. By comparing our JamSync timecode value to our image, we can get an idea of how much latency exists in our readout speed. So we can either compensate in our recorder or the editor can input the offset value upon sync. So our last test is to measure the drift of our camera's internal clock. Although we're feeding a constant SMPTE signal to our camera, the file itself only records a timecode value for record start. So that's no problem for the short takes we record in narrative film, but in an interview where the takes are 30 to 45 minutes, you might experience some lip sync issues if your camera's internal clock isn't very precise. This is what drift looks like at the end of a 30-minute interview. Okay, so after about 30 minutes, this is what lip sync looks like on the Blackmagic Pyxis. And this is what drift would look like at the end of a 1-hour interview or panel discussion. This is what our lip sync looks like after an hour of roll time. So what we're trying to measure here is if we can notice any difference between the video feed and the audio feed. This is why it's always important to equip your camera with a hop or run an XLR straight to camera. Your results may vary, but for reference, we did this test at about 68 degrees and we had the camera warming up for about 5 minutes before we rolled.